Hello, everybody. This is the Beef and the Deuce podcast. I am the Deuce. We're coming to you from YouTube. Also, check us out on Twitter, X, Beef and the Deuce podcast. Beef, how's life?
It's slowing down now.
Slowing down.
We're slowing down now. Kiddo's not deathly sick anymore.
Yeah. Did he have the flu or something?
He had the flu that turned into pneumonia.
Oh my God.
So it was.
That's bad.
It was hectic.
I bet.
But now he's good. Meds are kicking in, so we're good now. We're not in the fast lane anymore. We're kind of in the middle, just coasting. So we are good.
You're completely out of money.
Yeah, we're broke. Everyone's sick.
Life is good. Yeah.
Hey, I'm bobbing and weaving right now.
That's right.
I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm still. I might be patient zero, but I'm here.
Okay. Well, I guess the elephant in the room is the Buckeyes coaching news, so let's just get into that. Today, Chip Kelly announced, or somebody announced, that he was going to the Raiders as the offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Do you think
hanging alongside old Pete Carroll?
Yeah. Do you think that was delayed because of Pete Carroll being announced as the head coach?
I don't think so. I think it had a lot to do with him obviously being the head coach and him looking around to see who he wants.
Right. Yeah. It had to be, obviously, Carroll had to want him. So.
Yeah. So I think it was delayed more so because, like, I'm not saying that the Raiders didn't look at him prior to the Pete Carroll hiring, but I think it was more so of, hey, we're interested in Chip. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And then kind of put 2 and 2 together. And I mean, I don't hate the hire for them. I don't think it's a great move for Chip Kelly. Yeah. But I think overall, if that's what you want to, if you want to go back to the league and do your thing, that's fine. But
so
I mean, the Raiders are kind of a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Let me just throw this weird thought out. So the Buckeyes are the national champions. They're the top dogs in college football. Mm-hmm. And he's leaving that, and I'm sure he's making more money, no question. And they're paying him more money than he would be here. But I'm sure he's making a couple of mil, it's whatever, a year, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going from the top dog spot, and now you're going to one of the bottom dogs. Mm-hmm. Is it just the money?
Maybe it's more so of, because Chip Kelly's still relatively young.
I know.
Coaching years wise,
but he says he doesn't want to head coach anymore, so he's going to be technically stuck at OC, right?
Exactly, which is why unless he truly just wants to be an OC in the NFL and that's it. Yeah. I mean, whatever, I guess. Yeah. But I feel like there were probably better franchises that may have talked to him.
Yeah.
Rather than the Raiders, who. Yeah. Don't really have anybody like super exciting. Yeah. Like this is going to be a complete rebuild for the next bare minimum 3 years. Yeah. Because you need to get a quarterback. Because Aiden O'Connell was not your answer.
Right.
Your rushing attack is dead. Right. Your offensive line's dead. Mm-hmm. And you have Max Crosby on the defensive side, and that's basically it.
Right.
Like you don't have there's nothing that's like super glamorous about the Raiders outside of being in Vegas.
Yeah, and not a brand new coach, but a new head coach for them, right?
Yep, new head coach, beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
And a hungry fan base. But this is a massive rebuild. Yeah. So I don't understand, unless the money was talking. And
yeah, well.
I mean, Vegas is definitely a nice hot spot to be in.
But it's not like
you're leaving the national champion,
right?
Or current national champions, and getting the Buckeyes to go to that. It's kind of strange.
I mean, it's not like he needs the money. Hopefully, he's 3 head coaches at NFL and Oregon, and so if he plays his cards right, he's living on easy street. So, so I don't know. I mean. Good luck for him.
It's just strange. Yeah, at the end of the day, good luck. Mm-hmm. But it's just I don't see this being.
Do you think it's a lot of like the Knowles thing where he got upset about something or didn't like something?
I don't think so. I mean, I would hope not. Because at the end of the day, they're buddy-buddy. Him and Ryan Day are buddy-buddy.
Yeah, but still, buddies can get pissed.
my guess is the money was talking. Like they must have at least doubled whatever he was making here in Columbus. But I just don't know. I don't see what's so glamorous about being the OC in Vegas.
Well, here's another thought. Do you think it's easier stress level to be an NFL OC? Because you're recruiting, in the college game, it's 24/7, and in the pros, you really don't do that. You know, you draft, you free agent, and that's who you have, and you don't really deal with that. It's the coaches and the management. So it could be less of a stress than Ohio State. Could be, right?
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about the NIL. You don't have to worry about this or that. It's just strictly
people leaving every year.
Yeah, strictly just
coaching.
Yeah, coaching, play calling, figuring out what personnel you want for your offensive scheme, and then run with it. So I mean, I get that. Oh God, I guess that's just the nature of the beast when you win a natty.
Yeah, they come for your coaches.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's great, but it's terrible at the same time.
Yeah. So, do you think Dave will be a CEO again next year, or is he going to be, or next season, or is he going to be more calling plays like he did before? That obviously that depends on.
Yeah, my thought is, you promote Brian Hartline to OC, give him that title, give him his pay bump. But with Ryan Day, I think you still kind of dip your hand in the play calling a little bit until Brian Hartline gets a little bit comfortable with like the running aspect of the offensive game plan. Like passing wise, I think he'd be fine. Like the passing attack with his knowledge and his wideouts and all the recruiting that he does for that position, I think he'd be fine. I think it's more like the run script kind of aspect that he's not entirely used to. I'm not saying that he's, not knowledgeable in the running attack, but Ryan Day is pretty well known for having a pretty solid passing attack offensive wise. Right. So I think maybe that's more like a 1A, 1B, and then at the end of the day, still just be the head coach, be that CEO, because obviously that worked well, this past season. But now is kind of crunch time where it's, unless you find somebody you're comfortable with, i.e. hopefully it's Brian Hartline, I mean, he might have to call the plays. Defense-wise, I'm not terribly worried about. If we get our safeties coach into that DC role, I think we'll be fine. But the offensive line, having Justin Fry leave, I think that was pretty big.
Yeah, that was our biggest need of improvement, right? Was the O-line?
Yes, and he's, highly regarded. Look at what he did from having to struggle with an offensive line in the beginning of the season, and then we get wiped by injuries, and then this offensive line just completely puts it together for the CFP run. Yeah, totally. And played they lost nobody. Right. So, for the Arizona Cardinals, they got a diamond in the rough, I think, because they have some struggles over there. And they have one of our best tackles to go through Ohio State, Paris Johnson. So I'm sure he's thrilled about that. And I'm sure midget man Kyler Murray is pretty excited about having a pretty solid O-line coach. So yeah, it's tough.
Do you think that he didn't see any upward mobility with Ohio State next year? Because Chip Kelly thing hadn't happened at that point. So, he's moving to greener pastures.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those where, if he wants to stay at that position, the only place to go is the NFL. Because you're already in a top-tier college program. Right. You've put your, however long time-wise in. Yeah. And if you're planning to go to the NFL, what better time than post-national championship? Right. Yeah, your stock couldn't be any higher. Yeah, so, and for a place like Arizona, possibly kind of an up-and-coming program, or up-and-coming franchise, depending on how you look at it. And they really need offensive line coaching and help in general.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're trying to put this franchise together and keep their offense, obviously not in the worst category, if you will, starts with the offensive line and protecting Kyler Murray, surrounding him with talent, and the rest is, the rest is kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Murray's got the talent to do anything really. He just doesn't have the line help, and he doesn't have playmakers.
Yeah. So you're saying that it's going to be Hartline, OC, and who would be the defensive coordinator then?
So corner-wise, I would probably put, if I'm pronouncing it right, I'm sure I'm botching it, Guerreri, the safeties coach. That kind of seems like the hot name. Because I feel like if you hire within, it's a little bit easier to kind of know what to expect.
Right.
So I think that's, for Ryan Day, that's probably more beneficial because you know what you're getting. Unless maybe there's somebody out there that we're not really thinking of right now. Unless you could poach another DC from another program like Iowa's defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the first name, or I guess first coordinator off the top of my head that I can think of that has traditionally had a very solid defense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, offensive coordinator, this probably sounds ridiculous, but the more I read about the Chip Kelly departure, the more kind of thought, could you poach a head coach similar to what you did with Chip Kelly to come call plays at Ohio State, like a Lane Kiffin, like a old Stevie Boy with Texas? Would you be able to do that?
But would they do that?
I don't know.
I mean, what's their incentive? What's their why?
National championship possibility, a better chance.
But they're not. But they're going from head coach major college to not.
Offensive coordinator, current national championship program.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the money's there. The money's going to definitely be there, especially post national championship. But that was a comment that a couple of the I'm assuming college football fans put out there. Like, why not just test the waters? See what Steve says with Texas, and if he wants to be a current head coach, which he would never leave. You've got Arch Manning for the next couple seasons. You're not leaving that.
Yeah, he's on a roll.
But Lane Kiffin's interesting because Jackson darts in the draft, so he's long gone. So your top tier quarterback for the last handful of years is gone. You're kind of in a sort of unknown realm with Ole Miss, depending on kind of who comes out as your new quarterback,
mm-hmm.
your rushing attack, and everything that comes within the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Test the waters with Lane Kiffin. Now I think they would butt heads, him and Ryan Day.
Well, he'd be taking a pay cut. I mean,
yes. Another thought is Lincoln Riley. USC's kind of a mess. He's probably kind of on the hot seat.
Yeah, but okay, yeah.
Why not reach out just to see if there's any interest?
Well, sure, why not? Give him a phone call, but
yeah.
But he's a large dog in a smaller crowd at USC. He gives more media than Ryan Day ever will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love Ryan Day, but he's kind of a low-key guy.
Which is great.
Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely love it.
But from a personality and I don't know, I see some clash there.
Mm-hmm. But a couple ideas. I mean, obviously the position is now vacant for the last couple hours, if that.
Yeah.
But if it's not Brian Hartline, I feel like those are kind of names that you could look at and kind of gauge it, I guess, and just and see if there is any interest. If there is, possibly pursue it. But I think the better answer to fill that, or the better person to fill it, would be Brian Hartline. Dude's put in the time. He's moved up little by little. He was under Chip Kelly for this last season, so he obviously, more than likely learned a thing or two at minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So why not?
Yeah.
We're in kind of this sort of rebuild, if you will. I mean, we're losing a ton of personnel.
Yeah,
Not just staff, but a ton of players.
Does this sound like Michigan?
Kind of,
yeah.
yes. Kind of, sort of, yeah. But I mean, I think the hype is a little more real with this program because of Julian saying.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got the transfer running back from West Virginia. So he's more than likely probably going to lead that front. Jeremiah Smith, obviously. Caleb Downs. So, I mean, you have pieces to put around kind of a younger set of skill players.
But Dave's going to have to really work with Sayan, even though he's a talented quarterback. He'll be his first year as a sophomore, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Assuming that he's the one, but
I would be very hard pressed to think that it's not him if he's stuck around and all these other dudes are leaving. Devin Brown's gone, Aaron Nolan's gone.
Yeah.
I'm shocked Lincoln's still there, and then you've got St. Clair for next year. So it's that quarterback room's hot, but I can't imagine staying if it wasn't his job for this coming season.
So what about like you were talking about out of the program? What about like, and I don't know who it is, but like whoever the OC is for Clemson, give him a phone call.
Yeah,
that dude
must
have something on the ball with him.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't blame anybody for reaching out to, like you said, an ACC school, whoever it may be, OC wise. Bring them up into a bigger name conference. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a better program.
More money.
Or poke around the group of fives. See who's out there and gauge interest there.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Get them for somewhat cheap.
Look at it, run the MAC or something. Like a head coach for the MAC from the MAC, like Toledo or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never know. I mean, not saying that is the perfect pick. But, I mean, look, you've had coaches like Urban Meyer started off at a very small program, worked up to what he is.
Right.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of talent out there, but we're not going to know 300 or so offensive coordinators or whatever.
Right.
But I like the Brian Hartline move. I think it's the safer bet. I'm just going to see what he does. I mean, obviously we would love another national championship, but nobody's hard-pressed to be like, yeah, we're going to get another one. It's going to be a tough year. A lot of young talent, but you have a couple key pieces to build around, which is obviously very helpful.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with all of these key losses, especially with the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm. So considering all this, how do you see Ohio State stacking up against someone like a Penn State?
I'm still relatively comfortable against Penn State. Mm-hmm. I know that they have a lot of returning starters.
Yeah.
But James Franklin is just not a good head coach.
Right. I'd be more worried about Oregon again.
Yeah, I'm worried about Dan Lanning. I'm worried about obviously the first week against Texas. You have to deal with Arch Manning.
Yeah.
So obviously losing key parts of that defense is gonna be huge.
And I think Riley at USC is improving somewhat. I think that's
once he kind of gets the quarterback situation and the offense kind of figured out.
Right. And Washington's, it's in a rebuild. So there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Big Ten's still strong. I mean, look at bowl season. Look at throughout the regular season in the CFP.
Right.
You had some solid Big Ten teams.
Yeah.
In all aspects of college football.
And the team up north apparently just got a really good quarterback, right?
Oh yeah, Underwood's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem.
Okay.
So it's going to be.
It's going to be a long spring and summer.
Yes, it's going to be a weird off season. I'm assuming we'll probably bring in people from the portal. Everyone does.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's going to be a very interesting season, just in general.
Yeah.
Just how kind of this year started off. The unknown was real. It was Oregon with Dylan Gabriel. That was pretty much everyone's consensus number one.
Yeah.
Texas,
Yeah.
Buckeyes are still somewhat unknown because we didn't know what Will Howard was going to do.
Right.
And Michigan was a complete 50-50 shot on what they were going to do post-national championship.
Right.
Alabama, what are they going to do with Kalen DeBoer? Who knows?
That's going to be a long offseason for Alabama. Whoa.
Yes. Bama's going to be in a world that they're not used to.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of similar to Ohio State. I mean, the unknown's real. Is Julian saying the truth? What's Ryan Day going to do with basically a complete rebuild of a coaching staff?
But Ohio State's coming off a national championship. Alabama is not.
Yeah, Alabama's struggle busing.
Yeah.
Big time.
9-3 lost their bowl game. So. Ugh.
Yep. Yeah, I like where we're at. Okay. I'm a big fan of where we're at right now.
Okay. Anything else for the Buckeyes?
Not yet. Let's hope we find some people to fill up these vacancies. It was expected, but I was surprised at where they went, especially with Knowles. I'm still baffled by that, and it still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I have a question, and I've mentioned it to you. Switching to the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs, if they three-peat, are they the best? No, I'm not talking about like the entire franchise, but this group of players. Are they the best team ever? Is Patrick Mahomes the best? Is he the GOAT? And is Reed the GOAT? I say, yeah.
You say yes to all three?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I think you can make the argument that if they win the third in a row, you can make the argument that this specific team,
right, this era,
or I guess its core players,
right,
can be considered one of the best ever.
But
I think
you're
that's
not saying
that's
go.
fair.
You're not saying go. You're saying one of the best. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying best.
Yeah, I can't say that they are the best because I think of because unless you're specifically going off just dynasty, I don't believe there's ever been a team that's won 3 in a row. Right. There's been 3 in like 4 years or 3 in 5 years with the Patriots.
Right.
But I don't recall a team that's gone 3 straight.
Well, no, it hasn't happened.
In the NFL era.
It hasn't happened.
Okay, so if you're going off just dynasty based alone, then yeah, they would be the best because nobody's ever done it.
It's never been done in even pre-Super Bowl era.
Yeah, so I think, then that would be yes. Now, if you're going like strictly personnel and like player by player, obviously that's a lot more in depth. But yeah, as a whole team, then yes, that would be the best team during this dynasty era because it hasn't been done, and it's super impressive if they do it, obviously.
So I only have one team that I would think about, and that's of course before you were born. And I believe I have to check the records. The 2 years before the Super Bowl, those 2 seasons, I think the Green Bay Packers won both NFL championships. And the first 2 seasons of the Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers won those 2.
Okay.
So that's like 2 Super Bowls and 2 NFL championships. 4 in a row. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, 4 in a row is pretty, it's not very easy.
No, it's not
it's pretty hard.
So I don't know.
It's pretty hard.
But those eras are so different, so it's hard to say. But
yeah, I mean, a dynasty alone is very tough to do because there's a ton of pressure.
Right. You
won one, and then obviously you went back to back, and it's like, okay, big word, dynasty comes into play. And they're just out here 15-1, playing for their third.
Right.
That's wild. It's wild.
And nobody expected it even. So.
No, and the games that they've played throughout the regular season. I mean, there's question marks around this team for sure, but they just keep winning. They just keep pushing through.
But don't you think the X factor is Mahomes and Reed?
Oh, 100%. That duo is probably one of the best duos in NFL history. So head coach and quarterback wise, I mean, you've got Brady Belichick. That's obviously probably number one in everyone's book, I would assume. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. It's a very, very close second, I believe, especially if they win a third in a row.
But wouldn't you say Belichick was kind of a defensive guy?
Yeah, but I guess if you're putting it more so just like the combination of the two.
Right.
Like that duo alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that obviously benefit. I mean, one benefited the other.
Right. Well, they have
and vice versa, depending on how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's if they win a third, it's almost you can almost argue 1A, 1B for Mahomes, Reed, Belichick, Brady. The only thing that Belichick and Brady have are just the hardware. They've got
a lot of it.
Damn near double the hardware.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going off your GOAT question for Mahomes, he's finally in the conversation officially. Like now he's kind of like around it a little bit.
He wasn't in it for you?
Not for me, no. As the greatest of all time, absolutely not.
Okay.
But now, if you have your third in a row, and that would be his fourth overall.
Right.
Then the conversation gets a little more interesting because then you can make the argument
7 years
that he's deserving of being in a conversation with Brady, basically.
How many times have they been in the Super Bowl and lost? In other words, they've been in 6 or 7 AFC championships in a row, or one that won the conference in a row, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. The run is real for sure.
Yeah.
But it's just so hard for me to say he's better than Brady because Brady will just show you his hardware collection.
Right. Look at the rings. Kiss them.
Yeah, look at these rings. Look at these MVPs. Look at all of this. Like it's insane.
So.
But I think he's close. I mean, he's getting there. He's a lot closer than I think anybody else has.
So. Go ahead.
But it's just so tough for me to say he's just the GOAT.
I think Reed, 2 different teams, 2 different conferences. It's really impressive. It's really impressive.
You can make the argument that Reed is the GOAT, for sure.
So you would be more leaning on the Reed as a GOAT, not Mahomes yet, and probably not the team yet, the era, whatever.
Now, yeah, I mean, the team is that argument alone is very interesting because
but 3 in a row.
Regardless of the personnel, that's 3 in a row.
That's 3 in a row. I mean, that's all you really have to say.
I don't care if the defense is terrible. I don't care if the secondary is terrible.
I don't think, even if you had like a long snapper like the Cowboys do, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't need to go there.
No, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's regardless of, personnel by personnel, player by player.
Right.
At the end of the day, they all have to play the game, and they all have to win the game.
So here's another.
It's a one-all. It's a whole team.
Right.
I don't care if this offensive line is the worst that they've ever had. They still won the Super Bowl if they win.
Right.
So therefore, obviously the personnel is going to be a little bit different year by year. People are going to leave. People are going to come in. But the core foundation of those players that have been on each team, absolutely, you can argue that's the greatest.
Okay, so
absolutely.
With a three-peat, you're definitely good with the team.
Yes.
Even not Mahomes yet with three-peat.
Yes.
But Reed for sure probably with the three-peat.
The argument is a lot closer for him if he wins a third in a row.
Okay. So,
just because Belichick has his 6.
All right. So
Reed would have
4?
5?
4? Oh, yeah.
Because he would have 4 with Kansas City, 1 with Philly.
Philly, right, yeah.
So he would have 5. So, yeah, I think that's close. It's very, very close.
It's really close, yeah. Yeah. And the thing that I think puts the icing on Brady's cake is he won it in 2 different teams, too.
Yep. And, yeah, he goes to Tampa and essentially tells everybody, I'll win one here. Watch. Just watch.
Just like cash. Oh, yeah, let's do that. So, speaking of quarterback talk, we've talked before, the question from the last time. You got Allen, Mahomes, Lamar, and who else am I missing as a premier quarterback? There's 4 of them. Oh, Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all, I think, 29 or 30, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Kansas City winning a lot of these Super Bowls, you have premier quarterbacks who are never going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because in 10 years, let's say they all have 10 years to go, which is, whatever, could be. They're running out of time. Are they not?
Yeah, especially if Mahomes sticks around in the AFC, you have to get through him.
Yeah, but you have to get through. He has to get through the Cincinnati Bengals, which is
and that's the craziest thing about it is you mentioned those premier quarterbacks. Lamar is nowhere close to that realm. Regular season Lamar, he's great.
Yeah.
Playoff Lamar, not so great.
Not so great.
Josh Allen, same thing.
Buffalo Bills.
Almost exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Burrow's the only one that's had success over Mahomes.
Right, but not a Super Bowl.
Especially in the playoffs, but no Super Bowl.
Right.
Which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
You've got all this hype with Josh Allen, and rightfully so. But Lamar, same thing, rightfully so. But they can't get over that Kansas City hump.
Right. So,
Burrow's record against Mahomes, I believe, is still over 500. If I'm not mistaken. I think he has obviously the better record overall amongst Mahomes, or not Mahomes, but Josh Allen and Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
But he's riddled by injuries, or his defense is complete ass, or all of the above.
Or he's with the Bengals, yeah. The Bengals.
Yes, but it's bad.
Yeah. So, does one of them have to leave? Does one of them have to go to the NFC for a better shot?
For a better shot to get to the Super Bowl, probably.
To do that and win it, yeah.
But do I think that's ever going to happen? No, I don't think so. Just the franchises are too invested in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they, vice versa, are invested in the franchise.
Right.
So I think that in turn kind of negates that idea. But if this is just all in hindsight, what's the best move for them to do?
Right.
To possibly get to that promised land of the Super Bowl, it might be going to the NFC because the NFC is a lot weaker.
Yeah. Especially
a little bit weaker than I thought going into the playoffs. Yeah. Oh yeah, quarterback-wise, they would run the table.
It's AFC all over.
Yes, they would absolutely run the table.
I mean, I read that the Bengals had to sell the naming rights to the stadium just to pay Burrow's salary. Mm-hmm. They just don't have the money, and they're not going to pay the money.
Yeah.
So.
And you're not going to want to lose Joe Burrow because every team in America will call the Bengals immediately.
Yeah. Oh.
to get Joe Burrow.
Yeah, the lines would fry. Because
Oh gosh, Dallas would in a heartbeat.
Oh my God.
In a heartbeat, Jerry Jones would throw Dak to the wolves to have a chance at Joe Burrow. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? It'd be crazy not to.
It'd be crazy not to. Well, the Browns probably wouldn't, because they've got Deshaun
Oh no,
Watson.
the Browns were absolutely trade for some just bum, some 6th round bum.
Oh gosh. It was interesting. There was someone. I was watching someone, and they were talking about the quarterbacks moving around this year with Wilson and some others, and they even threw my guy Flacco in the mix. Where's Flacco going to go?
He needs to go to Cleveland. Just go back to Cleveland.
We know that, but that doesn't mean the Browns believe that at all.
Well, the Browns don't believe in themselves. It's bad. It's very bad.
It's bad. It's really bad. So do you think Stefanski will be here after next year?
After this coming season?
Yeah.
I think it really depends on obviously how this coming season goes and who they bring in. So if they bring in what they should be doing, bring back Flacco because you have Deshaun's obviously done.
Yeah.
I don't think James is coming back. Therefore, you have DTR as your starting quarterback, and you already saw that experiment. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So you need a veteran quarterback, whether it's Kirk Cousins, whether it's Joe Flacco, or somebody else. You need a vet somewhere in that quarterback room.
Would Cousins come to Cleveland?
Yes, join Stefanski again. I mean, I feel like that's the perfect scenario for Cousins because he's not starting in Atlanta. It's Penix's team now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So you're gonna have to eat another massive contract because Kurt has that 4 for $160.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pay the remaining 3, or if you make some deal with Atlanta to where they'll pay the majority of it, then that's whatever.
So call me goofy, but how about Darnold?
Darnold, I don't think would be awful, but he's gonna want paid big time, big money. But I think Darnold probably sticks around with Minnesota. They probably hit him with a franchise tag. That's kind of my guess.
For at least one more year.
Yeah, because JJ's injury, you don't know.
Right.
You're not going to go on to do that. Just tore his ACL and has had 2 surgeries on it.
Yeah.
So my guess is they franchise tag him. He stays in Minnesota, which is probably the best case scenario for Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
But I strongly believe Cousins or Flacco, and then you draft somebody day 2 is probably best case scenario for the Brownies.
What about Wilson or Fields?
Then no. I think Wilson goes to Vegas, to be completely honest. I think he joins Pete Carroll again.
That sounds inevitable.
And then I think Fields, from what it looks like, Pittsburgh and Justin are talking about possibly sticking around.
I know they like him.
But I don't think that's a terrible idea either, because he wasn't all that bad.
Right.
He gave you a 4-2 record.
Right.
What else can you ask for? But I mean, they also need to surround him with players.
Right.
That's not George Pickens.
So
I mean, you can't expect this dude to be great with mediocre personnel.
Right.
But I think Justin in Pittsburgh is probably smart. But if I'm Cleveland, why not? Why not ask and see? I mean, it's not going to hurt.
So is it a done deal that Wilson won't be with Pittsburgh?
I think so, because he's going to want paid. He got a vet minimum, like $1 million or $2 million deal.
Right. Well,
he's not going to take that again.
Right.
And I think Vegas has all the money in the world to do whatever they want to do.
But he's a veteran. I mean, by veteran, I mean older veteran quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they'll probably give him like a 1 or 2 year deal, is my guess. They'll draft a rookie quarterback, and just go from there. Have the rookie learn under Russ, which I think is not a terrible idea if that's their plan.
Mm-hmm.
If their plan is to draft young, bring in a vet, similar to what Cleveland should be doing, that's the best case scenario, because you're not throwing your rookie into the fire in a franchise that literally has Swiss cheese all around their offense and defense.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to succeed in that environment. There's no way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how good you are. If you don't have an offensive line, you're getting smoked. Joe Burrow, rookie season, prime example.
Yeah, or Cleveland.
He was
getting
killed last year, getting killed.
Yeah.
Like, you can be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but if you have less than 2 seconds to snap the ball and go, like, you're going to get murdered.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I think is kind of happening. Again, not terrible for the Raiders. It's going to take a couple of years to kind of build everything back together. I think the Pete Carroll hiring's surprising, but probably their best case scenario. Chip Kelly coming in as OC is going to be big for them, depending on who's under center, whoever it may be. And it makes the Raiders a little bit more interesting, because everything's brand new and everyone's going to be very, very curious on how this is going to work out.
Do you think the Raiders talked to McCarthy?
No, I think the biggest thing with McCarthy was him going to New Orleans.
Right.
And then that kind of dissipated like crazy. I don't think the Raiders even looked at him. Really? I wouldn't.
Okay.
I would just let that dude we'll see you later, man. Because he doesn't do anything post-regular season.
Well, yeah.
That's his downfall. He had his 1 ring in Green Bay. Thankful he has to be internally grateful for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, he hasn't done anything since then. That's the crazy thing. So, like, bringing him to Dallas initially, I'm like, okay, this might be all right. 5-year plan goes down, and it's just, nothing happened. Like, cool, you played great regular season football.
Yes,
Sweet.
3 in a row, 12-5 seasons. Pretty darn good.
It's great the regular season, but nothing else. Like, I can look at a season and be like, oh, cool. We'll go 10-plus wins and lose in the first round of the playoffs. Yep. Cool. Does nothing. Yep. We just can't get over that hump. Jason Garrett, 500 record basically every single year. Couldn't go over the hump, and we just did it again. Now we're bringing just nothing. Just bringing literally nothing. Just absolute puppy shit. And Matt Eberflus and Schottenheimer. Like, this is just insane to me.
Yeah.
You've got essentially a failed offensive coordinator who has just been through the ringer, program to program, who's been fired in his past with Seattle, and then I don't know how you want to put the whole Seattle thing, but he was basically booted from Seattle.
But most NFL coaches at one time get fired.
Yeah, but my thing is with Eberflus and with Schottenheimer, there's better out there, and I don't feel like Jerry was aggressive enough. So you've got Kellen Moore just chilling, just hanging out.
All right.
He's in the Super Bowl, just hanging out. You've got the Saints aggressively pursuing him. You've got everybody and their sister pursuing him. Kellen Moore was just in your program less than 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And you're not going to aggressively pursue this dude? And you're going to go with your current offensive coordinator?
I saw a commentary about Jerry Jones and his quarterbacks, and I forget who it was. I can remember it, but it was like, this is very logical for Jerry. He said his comments about back when they won the Super Bowl.
Are you talking about the press conference meeting when they hired, like, formally brought on Schottenheimer?
No, this is when who was the coach from the last time they won Super Bowl? It was
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. And then, of course, he said anybody could have coached that team to the Super Bowl. And then the next year, Jimmy Johnson was gone. He's claiming that Jerry believes that. And he says when they get into these owners' meetings and the owners are talking about paying big dollars for coaches, he gets up and will stand up and tell them they're making huge mistakes by paying coaches big money. And so he feels that, this commentator feels that this is very consistent with the way Jerry Jones feels about his team. It's not surprising. He's not going to pay big dollars. He's not going to get into a bidding war for a coach. He just won't. And so that's what you're left with, right? McCarthy
we're just left with just average.
McCarthy wanted more time, and Jerry said, no. Because I can get somebody else to do the job.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
So
it's crazy with everybody out there that this is who we decided on.
Well, who was left, though?
And Kellen Moore's still there. He hasn't even been officially hired anywhere.
Okay.
And
clearly,
Matt Eberflus's defense was getting absolutely destroyed in Chicago for 2 years, just absolutely destroyed. And this was your go-to.
Yeah.
Recently fired, one of the worst defenses in the league the last 2 years under his tenure. That's my guy.
Who works for cheap? Probably right.
Just like, come on, dude. You couldn't have reached out to, like, a college DC or, maybe pursue the Lions DC a little bit harder. Maybe call Robert Saleh prior to him going back to the Niners. Like, dude, there's so much more out there. But you're just settling for just basic.
Yeah. But apparently, look at who was the coach? The redheaded guy that was their coach. I can't think of his name. The one before. who he kept him on forever, right?
For
For Dallas. He's a commentator now. He right before McCarthy.
Oh, you're talking about Jason Garrett?
Yeah. Was he a great coach?
No, you just leave him. Leave him be. I don't want that dude back. Just leave him alone.
But he was there for a long time, right?
Yeah, he was there for a very, very long tenure of 8 and 8 seasons, and 7 and 9 seasons.
People were wondering why Jerry didn't fire him. Because he's probably working for cheap, and he was a yes man to Jerry, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Jerry still wants to run the thing. It's his program. And
that's what he wants. He's the owner. That's what he wants, damn it.
The only way Dallas succeeds is when he's gone. Like, humanly gone. And and I've seen that everywhere. Anything I've read, nothing will happen with Dallas until Jerry's officially gone. Because he won't let go. He refuses to let go because he works so hard to get it, and he doesn't want to let it go.
Right. And whatever good thing happened because of him. Right?
Yes, and he just refuses to let go. So we're just going to struggle for the next 5 to 10 years, and it's just going to be. I'm going to be in your Cleveland Browns boat. We're just going to be hanging out together. We're on the struggle bus.
The boat's kind of leaky, but okay.
Yes, that's fine. We're still we're floating still, but it's a slow drowning for us.
What are your odds do you give of Flacco coming back to Cleveland? Almost none.
I give it a little bit.
Okay, a little bit.
I give just a small chance.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But I think it's probably the best case scenario for you guys. Unless Kirk Cousins or Joe Flacco, I don't think is very hateful. Because with Kurt, you had his tenure under Stefanski, and he obviously did really well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's his saving grace if he does go to Cleveland. Even though outside of Joe Flacco, Cleveland's where quarterbacks go to die.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. But then of course you look back and go, why did they get rid of Bake?
Yeah, they're idiots.
Because they're idiots. That's right. Thank you very much. Because they're idiots.
It's idiotic for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so is that for us? And then we'll doing more Super Bowl on Thursday, leading up to the game.
Yep, we will dive into the Super Bowl, get our scores, get our picks.
Yep.
Break down what we think is going to happen, and then we'll be completely wrong. Very typical.
But we'll have a good time doing it. Okay. Well, talk to everybody later. Bye.